Sorry, I was muted. Hello, everyone. We are going to give everyone a few more seconds to get signed on here. But we appreciate all of you guys joining us today. We are so glad that you're here, and we're really excited to kind of dive in to what we found. So this session is going to be all about practical real-world insights that you can actually use for your practices. So let's just wait a few more seconds here. We'll see if we have anybody else joining us. All right. Well, I am thrilled to introduce my colleague, Mr. Dane Seville. Dane is internationally recognized local SEO speaker who travels all over teaching businesses how to win in local search. He previously led our local SEO department here at SearchLab, but was promoted to guide our brand experience across the board. Now, before joining SearchLab, he was the marketing director for a multi-rooftop organization. So he brings both agency and in-house experience to the table. Now, today, Dane is going to be reviewing real dental practice websites, ones that we've uncovered through our research, but we also want to give our audience the opportunity to share their websites if they are live with us so that he can do a live audit for you. So if you're with us live, go ahead and drop your URL in the chat and he will get to it, hopefully at some point during this webinar. Now, he's going to break down what's working, what's not, and where some small improvements can lead to really big results. Today is going to be very hands-on and an actual webinar, and we're really excited about it. So Dane, I'll go ahead and hand that off to you.
All right. Thanks, Brandy. Everyone, thank you for joining us today. Excuse me as I clear my throat there. Figure just as I get started, I get choked up. Yeah, we want to talk and do a real live audit of some dental practice websites. We have two currently. One is a single point practice here in my hometown of Pensacola, and we have a multi-location dental practice in Texas with locations in Plano. I can't remember all of them, but I remember Plano because that was the biggest of them all. So we're going to bring up those sites. There's just a couple pages we're going to look at. I don't want to call things rinse and repeat, but I mean, we can only look at so many dental cleaning web pages where we're discovering brand new things that are going on, but we're going to talk at length about each of those pages. You know, this will probably be a briefer webinar unless, of course, we get some folks like you to volunteer your websites. If not, no worries. There's always an opportunity to get a private audit of your website where we can have a private conversation. So no worries there either. But before I get started, and before I get really started, I clear my throat 1 second. Before I get started, it's important to just address that if you're a small business owner, you're likely hearing a lot about search, a lot about SEO, a lot about other acronyms like AI SEO and GEO and LLM SEO. The thing is that, yes, search is evolving. Systems are evolving. Things are changing. But the fact of the matter is that I don't care what acronym you ultimately use. What I care is that there are people who are honest about what really still helps small businesses get found by the people looking for their products and services. And so there's a lot of fear mongering. There's a lot of SEO is dead. There's a lot of nothing has changed. There's a lot of everything is totally different. But to be honest, let's talk about when someone uses something like an LLM system like ChatGPT, what we kind of commonly refer to as AI. When those systems need to be grounded in fact, right? It's grounded search. And I don't know if that's why it's called grounded search, but I'm going to go with that. When it needs to be grounded in reality, when it doesn't reach a confidence threshold that it can just give you an output with a degree of accuracy, it leverages search indexes. Bing's, Google's. I've seen Google Business Profile show up in ChatGPT outputs. So the thing is that the underpinnings of SEO, your website, the way it's optimized, the content, everything about your website still serves you to be found in those LLMs. Now, Are there other factors that impact AI? Yes, there are. There's no denying that. A lot of it's still just being discovered, being understood. But what we do know is that, yes, when you perform well in search, you are often performing well as a citation in LLM outputs. But also, LLM outputs are totally different all of the time. You could put in a chat, I could put in a chat, Brandy could put in a chat, and we could all get different responses, different brands. So when we talk about the idea of how do we continue to meet the moment, it's innovating, which we are here at SearchLab, but it's still understanding the basics, the tactics, the foundations of search and how they do still matter. There still is much exchange between what we think of as traditional local search and AI search. And that's what we're going to cover today. I just want to contextualize that in case you're working as a dentist, you have a dental practice, or you're working in a practice. Digital marketing might not be your thing, SEO might not be your thing, but SEO is certainly our thing. So with that said, let's go ahead and get started. I have a few pages of websites. Like I said, it's going to be a live look. We want to uncover some of the foundational tactics that still matter a lot. Now, one of those things when we often will review or audit a site, we want to look at a couple of different elements we know are a bit more weighted, elements that we know are the first pieces of information. We feed these pattern detection systems for them to understand, what is this page about? Who is this page for? So let's talk about these one at a time. Title tags. Title tags help inform Google what should be those blue clickable links. Now, Google rewrites pretty much all title tags now, but title tags are still a foundational element for Google to understand the topic of the page. Yes, it might rewrite that. It might rewrite it by using your H1s. It might rewrite it using content on your page, anchor text on the page. That's why you want to be very clear about the contextual signals you have in place in every single element on every single web page. SEO is not a silver bullet. There's not one thing that you do that makes or breaks you. It's, again, best practices on every element on your web pages to demonstrate that. Again, now we're going to go back to title tags, what helps inform that blue clickable link. So when you are a dentist, and this is a single location practice here in Pensacola, Florida. Number one, we want to look into how are people in Pensacola looking for a dentist? Is it dentist? Is it dental office? Dental practice? Dentist clinic? Dentist office? What might it be? Dental group? What is it about the behaviors of people in Pensacola to ultimately determine what that optimization should be? I had seen that dental office had about the largest, dentist office Pensacola had about the largest of current volume based on the tools we can use to understand that. So let's take a look what the title tag is on the homepage of this dental office website. Handy dandy little tool here, SEO Pro extension. It's a Chrome extension. You don't have to be an SEO to know how to use it, right? You install the extension, you click on that, you get some insights. So if you're sitting at home and you're going, look, I want to see what my title tag is, and I don't have to dig into the code. I want to see what is really written there, not what Google might rewrite it to be. You can use this SEO Pro extension, go on your website, fire up the extension, and you can see that here. And you can see Dentist, Pensacola, Florida, or FL, right, abbreviation. We have our dash, we have cosmetic treatments, and we have that pipe, which sort of separates ideas. And we have Gomez Family Dentistry, the actual brand name. This is pretty good, right? We never want to front load a title tag with a brand name. You want to front load it, meaning at the beginning, with the topic you're trying to cover. And we at least have dentist, right? We at least have that clarity of if this is a website, a homepage for a dentist and Pensacola, Florida. Now the thing is these optimizations should flow more naturally. Bots and crawlers don't read like humans read, but they often align the language and the way that humans will write their search with finding the right pages that align with not just the what they searched for, but the how they search for it. So we want to make this read more naturally for human beings. So for me, like I said, I think dental office in Pensacola, Florida. The dash cosmetic treatments. Uh, Cosmetic treatments could mean a lot of things, and we don't want to obfuscate this signal by trying to cover more than one topic. This should be covering the general dental office dentistry service searches, broad searches that are happening in this particular market. So I probably wouldn't do cosmetic treatments. Maybe there is something else people are searching for in greater volume here, or maybe not even greater volume, because don't always base it on that. Maybe there's a longer tail way, meaning more words, right? More words put into it. Long tail is long, right? Maybe there's a long tail version of how people are looking for a dentist in Pensacola. Now, we might see that the search volume is low, but that's not always a bad thing, because when those long tail keywords, those are typically more intent driven, right? There's more purpose behind it. So don't always just focus on volume, focus on the intent of what that search is trying to capture as well. So maybe there's some other way we could rewrite this to be more conversational as well. Again, we really need to dig in and do our due diligence to really understand the marketplace. The pipe, fine. And then the branding at the very end of the title tag, that's fine. Meta description. Meta descriptions do not directly impact ranking, but they can impact click-through rates. They need to be highly relevant. They need to be compelling. They need to be unique. We can see here, visit our Gomez Family Dentistry located in Pensacola, Florida if you're looking for a place to smile. Set your appointments on, and it gives us the phone number. Few things. Number one, we're missing, it's grammatically is a bit wonky, so it's not reading real naturally. It doesn't look written very well, right? Next, set your appointments on phone number. That phone number in a meta description is not clickable. So it really, if it's not helping you show up locally and it's not clickable, it's not really a useful optimization. What is this doctor's value proposition? Maybe he wants to highlight his training, certification, college, maybe the number of people that they've served for the number of years that they've been in business. What is something unique to this practice? And again, not just that they're a family dentist office, right? A little more precise than that. What are some compelling reasons why I would want to click through on Gomez Family Dentistry instead of another dentist who shows up? But title tag, like I said, not the only thing that matters for visibility. The only thing that doesn't matter for showing up in search, H1s. We can see we have one H1 buried down the page. So we have different navigational items and different elements on this page that are coded as headings. I guess the most important thing is that there's at least just one H1 heading. You don't want to have multiple H1s. Think about informational hierarchy. The H1's a bit more weighted than the H2s. You're not going to go into your chemistry class, open your chemistry textbook and see chapter 1, Shakespeare and geography, right? Everything needs to coalesce around the topic. So regardless of this, which is a bit of a mess, and I would want to reorient some of this. The most important takeaway here, to not just get lost in the weeds, for you to have something practical to take away and easy to remember, is that this H1 should align with the title tag. It doesn't have to be verbatim the same, right? It doesn't have to be word for word the same. But let's say if our title tag was dental offices in, or dental office in Pensacola, Florida, we want to have something similar to that. So maybe it's Pensacola's leading family dentist or dental office. Maybe it's, again, this is where we work in that selling proposition. Maybe it's, ADA, highly trained dentist in Pensacola. I'm going to spitball this, so it's not going to be the best because I need to do my due diligence. I need to understand these doctors a bit better. And that would take an onboarding call to really kind of get to know that. But just know that there's two core elements. The topic and the location should be present in that H1. Then content on the page matters too, right? So we have this content. If you're looking for a practice provides dentistry you deserve while ensuring your chair-like family, it's just kind of like this not to be mean, but it's a bit generic. It's a bit bland, right? I mean, you're not going to say we're going to treat you like garbage at our practice, right? So again, what are some of the more what are some really precise things about these great dentists who are doing great work in Pensacola could do to really provide a more compelling story to be told about their services on their homepage, and of course save the story about their practice for their about us page, which can be hyper localized, really highly localized, written really well, truly unique to you as an individual practitioner, or an office as part of a group. But here's the one thing, and let's switch to more of like a mobile view, right? Because this is how most people are going to see your website. So let me just make that a bit bigger, right? So we have our sort of carousel of images here. That's okay. You don't want to do too many. We often see that homepage sliders really don't earn many clicks. 2 to 3 would be fine if you really wanted them. Typically, just a header, a nice header image that really showcases the doctors and the practice is really what you need. And then you can always work a call to action in above the fold, of course. That's not part of this rotating carousel. That adds a bunch of code. You can see like how this drops down as it rotates through, right? That button isn't clickable at first, right? It needs to get into place and then it becomes interactive, right? All those different things impact things like page speed, interactivity with what's called web core vitals. So again, you can still work in that call to action, but make sure that everything in the layout is set in place, ready to be interacted with, ready to ready for the consumer to use, right? But you can see, we have to scroll quite a bit, and we could click learn more, but we have to scroll quite a bit before we get to the services offered, right? I know, Dane, we can always click on the menu and we can see that there. I get that, but you need the context on the page, and where things fall on the page matters, right? Where things are on the page actually matters. You would have your most important, compelling information that explicitly addresses the consumer's need that brought them to that landing page first. And of course, again, we have kind of a generic description of the practice. And then we see them, we see the doctors, we get to the services offered. And then within these services, we see things such as arch restoration, implant supported dentures, right? And then we like towards the bottom, we're seeing about crowns and root canals and things like that. What are the services we really want to draw attention to? Whether that's needing more market penetration, whether that's the type of work that brings in the most revenue to be done. There are different considerations strategically, but let's make sure that we are being very clear and higher up on the page and called out better. Whether it's maybe some very selective bolding, maybe it's a set of bullet points, like a bullet list to stick out. Again, we want to make things as easily parsable for crawlers, as easily readable for people, and the most important information as easily findable as we can. So again, don't rely on just big blocks of text. And then we get down to the other internal links for those services that were mentioned: video carousel, pictures, right? I would recommend working in the pictures a bit sooner in the pages, break up the text a bit more. There are just some other minor considerations, but essentially, we're not really fully optimized for how people are looking for things through the title tag. The H1 is misaligned and not really supporting the title tag, and then the content is not structured as well as it could be for maximizing the potential to be found in search. But home pages, again, aren't the only page on your website. So let's take a look at cosmetic bonding. So I'm going to stay in this mobile view. So this is a page in the menu, right? If I open the menu, it's going to be under services. It's going to be cosmetic bonding, right? Under cosmetic dentistry. Number one, it's fine to have sort of catch-all pages, like click on cosmetic dentistry, and then within cosmetic dentistry, you then can have internal links to all of the individual cosmetic services you offer, that's fine. But you should have, if it's truly a different service, if it's truly a different procedure, if it's a different need from a person, it should have its own page, because there's stuff called information gain, query fan out. It's about not just addressing the explicit need, you do that first, but then it's trying to understand the implicit needs people have. What are other answers that they need? What are other questions they're going to ask related to that core topic? Now, sometimes that gets so far off the main topic, it becomes its own page of content. So not everything will always just live on that page. Maybe if that has a very different information or consideration seeking element to it, it might become its own page. But the idea is to anticipate their needs before they even know to ask it. And so each of those services will have different follow-up questions, different things people will need to know. And so you want to make sure you are addressing that. So I digress from that. Again, hub pages are fine, right? You have cosmetic dentistry, you have general dentistry, and then within that you have services. That's fine. But don't just rely on just those topical main hub pages. Again, you're trying to pack in multiple topics on the one page. A page of content should cover a topic, right? So I digress. Let's get back to talking about cosmetic bonding, right? So within cosmetic dentistry, where we have cosmetic bonding. So it's a page in the navigation. Pages in navigation indicate there are more important pages, right? The fewer clicks you are away from a home page, the more you're telling a search crawler, this is an important page to me. And these are typically the pages where you want to capture conversions, right? Because they're the easiest to navigate to. So closest to the home page, easiest to navigate to, typically in the menu, very important page. What do we have missing here? Above the fold, any call to action, whether it's book and it takes you to a form, whether it's click to call, right? We are missing right off the bat a core function of what we want them to do, the action we want them to take. But let's also dig into just them being found, right? It doesn't matter if you can get conversions or not if no one's finding you. So again, like I said, I don't want to call it rinse and repeat, but let's again look at some of these elements, right? Cosmetic dental bonding in Pensacola, Florida. Dash, fix imperfect teeth. Now, again, I might want to look at, is there something more precise to what people are actually looking for in related to cosmetic bonding and how they're wording it to find it. But this is good, right? Here's the topic. Here's the location. Fixed chip meta description, right? Again, doesn't directly impact rank, but fixed chip, cracked, or discolored teeth with cosmetic dental bonding. It goes men's family dentistry. Schedule a consultation today. Not bad. It's not bad, right? It's outlining the need, right? Here's the problem, and we have the solution. Schedule your consultation today. So not bad. Still could be a bit more compelling. Could be a little more obviously problem solution based, right? So instead, just schedule your consultation day, maybe something a bit more powerful, a bit more bold in terms of making them want to click through to have these issues fixed. But again, not bad. And then H1, we have two H1s on the page. Again, not good. Informational hierarchy, the way things are formatted, where things fall on the page, how things are coded onto the page, all do matter. And we have two H1s. One is everything you need to know about dental bonding for imperfect teeth. So I'm not a dentist. I don't know if cosmetic dental bonding is different than just dental bonding, if there's any real inherent difference there. But again, if there is some sort of fundamental meaning that's different between just dental bonding and cosmetic dental bonding, we want to then make sure we still have that full topic in there. But I'm going to assume it means the same thing. So dental bonding is really, truly the crux of it. So dental bonding, but here we're missing Pensacola, right? And then we have our second H1, real patients, real results, that has no relevance to building patterns of understanding what this page is about, really. Maybe later in the page, you could have, cosmetic dental bonding results from real patients, or real patients cosmetic bonding before and after. Again, we're missing some of the contextual clues to make it a stronger correlation to the page itself. And then the content itself. You've been dreaming of if you've been dreaming of transforming your smile into one you can't stop showing off, cosmetic, right? So we kind of have, again, that generic bland content. What could go here? This very first sentence that's just below the fold in this particular example, might be above the fold in real life on your actual phone. But what about here that's more concrete than just dreaming of transforming your smile? How can we be more concrete to address the explicit need of someone who has typed in cosmetic bonding near me, cosmetic bonding Pensacola? What would be the first thing they need to know? Probably your qualifications and the type of services offered to address that, or again, your particular expertise to be chosen to do that, right? So we have, what is dental bonding? How's the process work? So we have some other follow-up questions, again, that could very well be relevant. We need to do some more due diligence to really come to that assessment. But again, at least we're making some things clearly aligned with the topic of dental bonding. Worked in some bullet lists. That's good. Again, you want to break up text, but again, you can see like just these big walls of text. Even this, you have the actual sentences, so it doesn't make it as punchy as a regular bullet list. So there are some still things, I think, in terms of the context and the writing that could be better. And then again, some more blocks of text. A number of videos, they all seem relevant, but again, whenever we want to let the data inform us, if people are really watching the videos and scrolling that far to get to the videos and watching them, then they're worth it. But is having all these videos worth it on this particular page? Again, we need to let the data tell the story, but everything adds additional code, impacts, again, site speed, page speed, impacts interactivity, so does it really provide value? We'd want to dig in and, just by a cursory audit of the site, we don't know that, right? But again, if they are valuable, we shouldn't bury them at the bottom of the page either. All right, let's move along. Blog. Gomez Nestri has a blog. Pretty good. I mean, there are some good topics in here, right? 7 common questions about root canal. I'm sure there are more than 7 about root canal. Some of these are a little bit broad, like what you need to know about porcelain dental. And it'll be like everything you need to know about this particular thing. Again, we need to be precise. Devil's in the details. Precision's good for how we address real-world consumer questions. And no one's typing in, tell me everything about dental crowns or whatever it might be, right? They have specific questions. Let's make sure we tie that to that. But one of those, let's just take a look at the common questions for root canal services, right? So it's a blog on the site. We're looking at it in the mobile version. Here's the thing. Again, when we talk about topic, what to expect from a root canal. So it's good to form title tags in the form of a question. So what to expect from a root canal. But then we get the heading, it's 7 common questions about root canals. So this is one single question. The heading is about how there's 7 common questions. We have the date, not the month, coded as a heading, which again is bad for informational architecture, hierarchy, right? And then the URL is, and we didn't talk about the URLs on the other pages. I should have probably slowed down and got back to that. But is getting a root canal worth it, Pensacola, Florida? So is a root canal worth it? 7 common questions, what to expect. We are all over the place, right? Well, there's a lot of cleanup needed for this. And then, I'll give them credit for this, though. For the questions they have on there, they do have something called schema markup. This is code that goes on the web page. People don't see it. Again, it's in the HTML code on the site itself. What this is a layer of data that just basically it helps search engines understand the page's content better. So it's another layer of multiple layers of things we need to have in place to make sure can we maximize that potential, right? So at least we do have schema markup on here, and then of course we have our image here, and we do have alt text, right? You can't see, it's kind of hard to see, but I'll just read it to you. Root canal treatment in Pensacola, Florida area. So at least everything is on the periphery related to each other, right? We're going to get a little more honed in here and make this a bit more aligned, a bit more robust. Then look at this. The cosmetic bonding page didn't have like any calls to action, right? None above the fold. We had to keep scrolling. There was really nothing there. But this informational blog has a call to action. Click to call or request an appointment. Here's the issue with that. Yes, you want to get patients. Yes, it's important your SEO agency or acronym agency helps you get patients. If I am trying to if I have 7 questions about a root canal, or if I have a high-level question about a root canal, is the next best place to take me to get me to call you or request an appointment? What logically makes the most sense? Maybe it's a call out from a customer testimonial. Maybe it's again a call out of your unique value propositions. Maybe it's a link to a page, which this isn't addressed in the 7 common questions, but uh, there are questions regarding root canals about the not the duration because that's covered on here, but it was about sort of the steps of the procedure itself, right? And then there are other questions that are important, and those are missing from here. So maybe if you land and you just have several common questions you're asking, and now you're interested more in precision about the procedures or other precise information that takes you further down the funnel, that could be more relevant for the consumer than, hey, you had a question, now call us, right? We want to be deliberate in being the tour guide for the people that come to our website. All right. This is a multi-location site. I wanted to hit on this, right? And this is actually going to be a lot briefer because we're not going to look at, you get it. You get the service pages, you get the title tags, the H1s, needing the topic, needing the location. We understand content needs to be aligned with the consumer intent. So now it's like, hey, what if I have multiple locations? How do I do all of that? What's the appropriate way? Now, ideally, right, every single practice that is an individual location would have its own website, because you'd have your directories that have the address and phone number for that particular location. You'd have your Google business profile. You have your social media profiles. The single address would be on the website itself. So there's, again, a lot less ambiguity when you have a single site, but I know that's costly. So the next thing you want to do is making sure you have pages dedicated to the actual locations. Now, we'll get to service area pages here in a minute, but they have individual number, individual location, 4 different locations. But here's the thing: when you get down to it, so this is dental exams cleaning. Let me skip around here. Sorry. All right. So we have Plano, and let's click on McKinney. So now we have Plano, we have McKinney, right? Come on now. Your dentist in McKinney, Texas for comprehensive dental care. Art Dental, your trusted dental clinic in Plano, Texas, right? Offers services in Plano. Proudly serves McKinney. Trusted, right? Comprehensive dental care. We have a lot, top tier dental care. Just changing out verbs or adjectives or adverbs or nouns does not, it makes it unique. It makes it unique in the fact that you can't find that word for word, it's exactly the same. However, there is a very important element a lot of people don't talk about, and it's called content effort. Now, Google uses like infinite numbers of algorithms and assessments and things to populate search results. But one of the first, among the many they use, is called content effort. And it assesses how easy can this page that just got indexed, how easy can that page be replicated, right? And when you just throw in different words and just different, now it's Plano instead of McKinney, or McKinney instead of Plano, right? We have a lot of emergency dentist, and yeah, maybe those things are all offered, but this clearly can be easily replicated, right? There is really nothing about, as a leading dental clinic near you, we strive to provide the highest quality of care, right? So what can we do when you are a multi-location business? What can you do to make those locations stand out? Number one, in Plano, maybe my core audience, they're older and there's a lot of denture work. And maybe in McKinney, and I'll remember it only because I was talking about cosmetic dental bonding, right? So again, where things fall on the page matter. Maybe I prioritize dentures and I prioritize cosmetic dental bonding at the other location. What about Plano can I say? How many people have I serviced? Are there major thoroughfares where I'm located near? Am I near a plaza? We do pull in, the Google reviews, but can we get a video testimonial? What are the things we can do to localize it more than just zip code and city state, and really speak to the residents of Plano while highlighting the most important services I offer per location. Then you go beyond that, and each of these pages has then service area pages, right? So now here's the other little areas around Plano, Texas. And again, here's the problem, right? Crystal Creek, Hunter's Glen. Dentist near me in Crystal Creek, dentist near me in Hunter's Glen. Are you looking for a caring experienced dentist near you? Looking for a dentist in 7502 who provides high quality stress-free care? Again, we're just basically just doing a simple rewrite, changing out words, changing a sentence or two here and there, randomly just bolding some language, internal links. If you're gonna selectively bold, make sure that the text you're bolding is highly relevant for the consumer on that page, and not just trying to bold keywords to like manipulate the system, right? It's gonna catch on. Everything you do needs to be deliberate for the consumer. And again, we don't have anything to really, besides this is bolded this way. And the one in Hunters is, well, actually boarded almost exactly the same way. Dentist near you, dentist in Plano. So we're not really making an effort to make things distinguished. So if you're a multi-location dentist, you should have a folder, meaning that's fine, right? Locations, right? artdental.com/location/dentist in Plano. Then within that, cosmetic dentistry, general dentistry. So like it's another subfolder, right? Cosmetic dentistry. And then within that, then we'll have our services. So cosmetic, let's say just cosmetic bonding. I'll just be real quick here. Cosmetic bonding. So each folder should have services dedicated to that location. And again, you need to be very deliberate in making the content a heavier lift, making it more unique, making it speak to that specific audience of that specific location a bit better, a bit more precise, a bit more aligned. And that can be an effective strategy. Service area pages, be careful. Don't spam your site with that. It's called what are called doorway pages, right? So again, if you're going to selectively do a couple of high value neighborhoods within that actual metro where you're located, you can, but again, be very deliberate in how you make them very, very unique. So I told everyone here at SearchLab it was going to be a quick one, and man, did I talk. I'm not surprised by that. So I'm going to bring Brandy back up onto the stage here in just a minute. I'm going to let her get ready because, in case she's in the midst of doing something, I can't just have her sit there and just listen to me this whole time. She listens to me enough, believe me. So I'm going to come back over here. In just a second, I'll bring Brandy up on the stage. We have a couple of final items to get through, and I'm going to let you guys go. So sorry I kept everyone. Brandy, Vince, if you're listening, anyone else, I'm sorry I kept you longer than I said I would. But, man, once I get going, I get going. So sorry about that. So there she is. There's Brandy.
Dane, listen, you never have to apologize. You're always just spitting gold to us, and we always learn something. So we appreciate it. But anyways, for everybody who is still with us live, this is just another opportunity for you guys. If you would like, we do still have about 20 minutes or so. Dane is going to do some Q&A. But if you would like to drop your website into the chat, Dane would be happy to take a few minutes to kind of go through some things with you, audit your website live. And if you don't feel comfortable doing that, like he mentioned at the beginning of the webinar, we can also do this in private. So we'll give you a few seconds here to drop that in the chat. And then Dane, if you want to go ahead and get started with the Q&A, we can do that as well. Hey, Dane, we cannot hear you.
Sorry about that.
You're back.
Am I back?
Yeah. You're good.
All right. Sorry. So the question is, I have 3 locations across a metro area. And well, we just did 4 locations. So hopefully what you heard was relevant. What's the best SEO strategy for multiple practice locations? Separate websites for each office or one main website with location pages? How to avoid Google penalizing for duplicate content from describing the same services at each location? So like I said, ideally, yeah, you would have its own web property, its own domain per location, just because of all the dilution of signals that happen when you just collectively try to add, different sort of optimizations and signals in place that kind of confuse the pattern detection. But that's why you put them in folders, right? That's why on the main domain, you're going to have locations, and you're going to have each individual location built out with its own sort of like landing page for the location on the site. Again, very unique to the location itself. Maybe you have specific doctors at that location, maybe other nurses or staff. Let's highlight that. Again, pull in a video testimonial of a customer from that location. So again, there are ways to make sure that it's very distinct, even if it's on one domain. Google doesn't like penalize you for duplicate content, but duplicate content doesn't help you, right? Again, that content effort. How easy can it be replicated? Oftentimes I see dental websites, car dealership websites, lawyer websites with exact word for word the same content. So at least make sure you don't have completely duplicate content. So hopefully that answered that. There's some follow-up here, and that is, should I be creating separate service pages for every procedure, or is it better to group related services together? For example, teeth whitening be its own page or combined with other cosmetic procedures. Again, it really comes down to the intent of the search. And again, I think I kind of said this early on in the webinar. If a service has its own distinct explicit need and implicit needs, its own distinct questions, the procedure is going to be different. The expectations are going to be different. What they see, what they go through is going to be different. Then yes, it merits its own page. If the topics are so closely related together, like maybe like exams and cleanings, I mean, if I'm looking for an exam, I think in most cases, like a cleaning always comes with it, right? So there might be some areas where there can be ideas, topics coupled together. But again, we'd really want to dig into what are those services offered at that practice, at that dental clinic, office, whatever you want to call it. And then, does the intent vary so much that it should be its own, or could we just collectively put it together? And then lastly, how important are patient reviews for local SEO specifically? I have maybe 15 reviews. Is that enough, or should I be actively asking patients to leave reviews? And I'm glad that was asked, because I actually was looking at best of searches near me, right? And because I wanted to, when I talked about the Pensacola office, I didn't just choose someone randomly. I wanted to see who was seemingly performing well in search and what other opportunities were there still for them. And you can see, look at this, right? So you asked about reviews. How important are reviews? What shows up first for like best of searches, right? I know sponsored results actually shows up first, but Google Business Profiles. What's one of the leading factors on your Google Business Profile that influences ranking, position? Reviews, review score, review count, review frequency. Consistently getting reviews, not like there's a drought for 3 months, then there's 50 reviews. We want to continually source reviews. Reviews are very important, but also let's say I don't click on Google Business Profile. Let's say I continue looking in the search results. What do I have? Discussions in forums, people leaving reviews on Facebook, people talking about me on Reddit. So even if it's not necessarily a review website, positive or negative sentiment about your business. Yelp shows up here near the top of the results, right? ChatGPT, a mixture of Google Business Profile and Yelp, or Google Business Profiles and Yelp profiles in the map, right? Look what they're referring to. Other websites, let's look at the sources. Yelp. And then websites, of course, right, tied to these different profiles, whether it's Yelp or GBP, right? Summit Dental, dentistranked.com, healthgrades.com, Facebook, opencare.com. So yes, reviews are vital, and you want to source them consistently, and you want a diverse portfolio. Do you want lots of reviews on your Google Business Profile? Absolutely. But you should also get them on other platforms. A diverse portfolio is important. And also for those folks that, can't leave a Google Business Profile review, you can send them somewhere else, right? If they don't have the Gmail, and you can send them to Facebook. There are alternative ways to, when you can't get a GBP review, to send them somewhere else. But again, I digress. I'm tangenting. Yes, reviews are extremely important. Yes, you should be actively working to get them. There's no magic number of reviews. Just do better than your competitors, have more of a positive sentiment in the reviews left for you, and that's really all you can do is try. And I think those were the only two questions. And Brandy, I didn't see any other websites dropped into the chat. So, if I said I was going to go 15 to 20, went 45. I don't know what to tell you. Sorry. But we at least can end this 15 minutes early. We don't have to stick around. But everyone, I do want to show you one last thing. Like I said at the top, if you want, and I'm going to reshare my screen, if you want some private feedback about your website, you say, Dane, I listened to this webinar. I like what I heard. I want to hear it for myself about my own website. Get out your phone, scan that QR code. You can schedule a strategy call with me, and I'm sure Brandy will be there too. And we'll talk to you about what we find. We'll talk to you about the good, the bad, and the ugly. And we'll tell you what those opportunities are for you to get greater visibility for your dentist website. Brandy, any closing words?
No, Dan, I just want to thank you for your insights and your time. I also want to thank everyone here for spending, it's supposed to be 15 minutes, but we're at 45. No, I'm kidding. Spending some time with us today. We know how valuable your time is, and we really hope that you're walking away with at least one or two ideas that you guys can apply immediately to your websites. But as Dane mentioned, if today sparked any questions about your website or your local visibility, again, we'd be happy to take a look at that. It's free, absolutely no pressure. We just want you guys to know that we are here, we're able to help, and we would love to help. So thank you again for joining us today, and thank you so much, Dane.
Absolutely. Thank you, Brandy. Thanks, everyone.
We'll see you next time, guys.